Good evening. 6.0 reconvene open session, procedural business, 5:30 p.m. 6.1 call to order. The Board of Trustees are hereby reconvening open session at 5:35 p.m. 6.2 roll call. Trustees to identify themselves by first and last name to formally establish quorum. Jordan Zarate, Trustee Area 5, Running Springs, Arrow Bear Lake, Green Valley Lake.
Dana Ridland, Trustee Area 2.
Cindy Gardner, Trustee Area 3.
Scott Kraft, Trustee Area 4.
Dr. William Ellinger, Trustee Area 1.
We have our quorum. With that, we'll move on to 6.3, Pledge of Allegiance, led by Dr. Sevillano.
Okay, place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Dr. Sevillano. With that, we'll move on to 7.0, closed session report. 7.1, announcement of reportable actions taken during closed session. A personnel report, the board took action to place certificated employee number 1530 on compulsory leave and directed the superintendent or designee to send appropriate notices. Business services, the following action was taken in closed session. A motion by Dr. William Ellinger, seconded by Jordana Ridland, and approved by a vote of the trustees to approve the contract with Chapman Coast Roof Company for the RHS roofing project under threat of litigation due to bid deficiency. And finally, we have, let's pull it up here. The board voted to approve expulsion hearing recommendation for case number 01-24/25. Moving on to 8.0, public testimony. 8.1, public comment period for items listed on this agenda and non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the governing board. The public comment period is administered by state law and is the point in the meeting set aside for members of the public to share their opinions with the board. Open meeting laws do not permit the board to engage in dialogue or answer questions. Though it may not take action on non-agenda issues raised at the public comment period, the board, for example, may refer any matter to the superintendent for review or take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Protocols for speakers. Any person who wishes to address the governing board on agenda and non-agenda items within the subject matter of their jurisdiction must complete a speaker's form and submit it to the executive secretary to the superintendent before the meeting is called to order. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Speakers who have complaints against board members or staff are encouraged to seek resolution to those complaints by using the Room the World Unified School District written complaint procedure rather than orally addressing them in a meeting. The board will not respond to such complaints until the applicable complaint procedure, BP/AR 1312.1, has been followed and has reached the board level. Where a complaint concerns a district employee identifiable by name, position, or other facts, the board cannot respond until proper written notice has been given to the employee pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. Decorum. The governing board is interested in the ideas and opinions of all stakeholders and endeavors to incorporate community views into its deliberations and decisions. At the same time, it must be able to conduct its business in an organized and efficient manner, free from material disruption. Therefore, in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323 and Government Code Section 54957.9, audience members may not disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of this meeting. Open meeting laws do not confer any privilege or protection for expression beyond that otherwise provided by law. The public's understanding and cooperation are appreciated. 8.2, public comments. We have a few here, so we'll start with Ethan Smith, representing students of Rim High. Topic: Rim High continuous bus latency. You may turn on your mic there, and the indicator for your time is down here.
I would actually like to make a request for Kaylee Serrato to speak before me, as I just have some thoughts to add to her argument.
I understand. We have Kaylee Serrato representing students of Rim High. Topic: latency of buses to Rim High. You may come to the front and make sure that the microphone is on. And again, the time indicator is below.
I just press the button?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Serrato, and I'm just raising concerns about a continuous pattern that I've noticed at least the past couple of years with the buses being late to first period almost every single day. At least one or more buses are late, and teachers are waiting because they want like a majority of the class is missing, so teachers are waiting to start their lessons, and they're waiting how much time? So we lose instructional minutes every single day. And those students are most likely very stressed out about being late every single day. And so I was just curious as to what we could do or why it's been going on. And I understand there's a lot of traffic right now and road work, but at the beginning of the school year, there was not this amount of traffic or road work, and the buses were still late every single morning. Should I turn it off?
Yes.
Sorry.
If you don't, yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out to speak to us tonight. With that, we have our next speaker, if that concludes everything.
Yeah.
Then we have our next speaker.
Yes, you can go back.
Okay, thank you.
Ethan Smith, representing students of Rim High, topic Rim High continuous bus latency.
I just wanted to add a little bit onto that, so just, we all know instructional time is important, especially in our schools, and in the high school, like a few minutes can, how do I put this? A few minutes lost can change your understanding of a topic drastically. I know that from my own experiences, not with being late because of busing, but because I sleep in. But yeah, I sometimes, if I get to school just a couple minutes late, my understanding of the topic at hand, especially in a subject such as math or science, it takes me a while to bounce back. And I fear that may be happening to some of the students at Rim High this time. And that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. With both of these matters, as they are combined, I'd like to refer it over to our superintendent. And yeah, please.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll schedule a meeting and to discuss it and what are some things that we can address in the district. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you both.
Yes, thank you both for coming out and making your voices heard. And sounds like we'll have a meeting to do some follow-up. And I'll request that when we get to that point, for this to potentially be added to our transportation update that we get in our governance calendar. With that, we'll move on to our next speaker, Marla Margarian, representing our Arts Association, topic Prop 28 funds. The floor is yours. Just make sure that red light is on.
Okay, very good.
All right. Hello, everybody. I think some of you know me, and for those of you who don't, my name is Marla Marganian, and I'm here representing the Arrowhead Arts Association. And I came just to thank you very much for getting the Prop 28 funds started and going and hiring a teacher and getting that whole process started, because I don't know if you all know, but Arrowhead Arts, our whole goal is to bring music to the mountains. And we've spent the last 21 years spending $70,000 to $90,000 in our schools for kindergarten through second education. We have the strings program in our schools, and I have 3 children who went through our schools. They also went to the Arrow Bear Music Camp and to the Idlewild Arts Academy, and I just can't tell you how important music is to education, and it changes the brain. So I want to thank you very much for getting this whole thing going and getting some music in our schools. Okay, that being said, I do realize that not all of the schools are going to have kindergarten or first grade music. And so what we would like to offer is that we would like to hire our teacher, like we have in the past 20 years, to come in and maybe do kindergarten first to supplement that part. And then you guys do 2 through 5th. And somehow we try to work together and get music to all of the students, because it's so important from the very beginning. So I just wanted to offer that up. I'm planning on actually coming to many of the meetings now. Arrowhead Arts has asked if I would just sit in on the meetings here, just to figure out what you guys are doing and then figure out how we can help you, maybe smoother transition, or how we can help get the music teacher started or whatever. So you'll see more of me and let me know how we can help. That's just it.
Thank you very much. With this offer that Arrowhead Arts is proposing, I'll also refer this matter to our superintendent.
We'll go ahead and contact you and schedule that meeting. Get your
That would be
input.
great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think you've spoken with Cheryl Russell. She's kind of in charge of that. She couldn't be here tonight because we actually have our board meeting tonight, so I'll be skipping out in a little bit. But the other little piece while I'm here, I think you already got this flyer, but we do have the Philharmonic coming up. And it's the 50th anniversary of Rhapsody in Blues. We're bringing a grand piano to the Catholic Church. It's going to be a fabulous concert. So if I can approach and give each of you a flyer and leave some at the back, I would appreciate that. So that would be great.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to 8.3, RIM Teachers Association Representative and California School Employees Association Representative. We have a speaker for RTA at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. McCook, please come on down.
I know, right? Well, thank you.
I love you. I teach TK and I'm so excited for the music. Yes. All right. All right. Hello, my name is Sydney McCook. I am a TK and kindergarten combo class teacher this year at BOE, and I'm the RIM Teacher Association Secretary. So I'm here for that. All right. I get nervous every time. All right. We hope everyone is enjoying the cooler weather. It's been quite a quarter of the school year with the line fire, and now the aftermath of the line fire. With constant traffic issues on Highway 18, air quality, and just the stress of everything. Teachers and staff are trying to meet deadlines and pacing guides that were set up pre-fire. Election day is still happening, November 5th, testing is still happening in May, and the world keeps on turning. Keeps going. RTA would like to bring up some concerns and wins. So in regards to the amount of extra work that both special education and general education teachers are experiencing due to the inclusion model, we don't seem to have the necessary personnel and training to make this program successful on such a large scale. We want what is best for all of our students and staff. There are also issues making sure our English language learners are getting support they need. Now, I'm not asking for more professional development or a referral to a great podcast. We need more bilingual aides to help these students. Many new families are moving to our mountain, which is amazing and greatly needed. We need those families here. But if there are students who have never experienced English before, it is very hard to teach them 5th grade geology standards and 10th grade world history. I'm not saying it is impossible, as our RIM teachers do the impossible every single day with a smile, but it's hard. For example, I worked with a group of 4 Spanish-only 3rd grade students after my TK and kindergarten kiddos go home. While my Spanish is bueno, it's not muy bueno. And we worked on letter ID identification and sounds in 3rd grade. These are completely different in both languages. We worked on counting to 7, and there were mistakes. And yet, we expect these kiddos to be able to write 3-paragraph essays, learn about First Nations history and fractions with only 20 minutes of support. It's flabbergasting. Anyway. On the agenda, I see there's a presentation on our test scores in the district. This and copious other issues could be alleviated quite simply with smaller class sizes. Wouldn't it be great to brag on our website that we have a TK through 3rd grade ratio, a teacher to student ratio of 21:1 just like Big Bear? All right, now I swear I am a positive person and I bring lots of sunshine all the time. So on to the good news. We are so excited for our backup positions to start servicing elementary school students, TK through 5. Anyway, you don't want to see my happy dance, but I will do it. Teachers will get 40 whole minutes of extra prep time. I cannot wait to have enough time to answer 52 emails, most of them from Parent Square, and unjam the copy machine plus. But all kidding aside, it will be such a blessing to have more time to adequately prepare for our students during contract hours. We all have so much to do, and any additional prep time is awesome. We also love that students will now get more time to learn about art and music, something that is sadly pushed aside way too often. Music and art is not fluff. It is essential to students. Music and art is just so very important. We want to thank the district for putting an air quality check procedure in place. It is nice to know that we will not be required to work in dangerous conditions and that you are taking the safety of our students and staff seriously. All right, we are excited that a new itinerant RSP teacher is hopefully starting any day, so we can be in compliance with both the contract and ed code. All right, we would like to thank the board for putting students first and hope to continue working collaboratively in the future. We have so much talent, intelligence, and experience in this room and at our school sites. I know we can solve any problem that comes our way by honoring Article 1 in our contract and working together to take RIM from being the best district on the mountain to the best district in the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCoy. With that, I'll ask if there is any speaker representing CSEA tonight. No speaker tonight. So we'll move forward to 9.0, reports and presentations. 9.1, governing board members. We'll start this evening in area 3, Cindy Gardner.
Thanks. First of all, I want to say some awesome upcoming events this weekend at RIM High School is an e-waste program from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So bring all of the crud that's in your build-up, your garage, or in a very messy office like mine, bring it, and the PTA will make money. The money is going to college and career supports and student supports, as well as some reflections art program. We have Trunk or Treat coming up at CHE and LAE on October 25th and the Fall Festival at CHE on October 23rd. Community members go. It's so fun. Really a lot of fun. It's a safe place for your kids to just run amok with their friends. So please bring them. RIM High School Homecoming was a blast. A lot of people came, and again, RIM High School won in the last minutes, giving everybody a heart attack. So Coach Gerardo, come on, let's fix that. Then I want to say that Measure E campaign committee is in full blast. The bond needs to pass. We have so much need in our district for HVAC, upgrade of electrical panels, safety issues. When our classrooms and windows are open, it creates unsafe conditions for our employees and our students. The VOE carpet, the CHE carpet really need to be replaced. That's becoming as up there on my pet peeve with A through G completion rate. I'm just letting you know. So the bond is so important. If you support this, I hope you support this bond. Please spread the word to everybody you know as to why it's needed. Teachers, tell your story. Students, tell your story of why we need this bond, because you're the biggest impact. I can talk about it all the time, but like one journalist said, well, of course you're going to vote yes. It's going to make your life easier. I'm like, yeah, it will. So why don't you vote yes for me? But he said it's more powerful to listen to parents and to the students. So please tell your story. I also want to thank there's a wonderful program that has finally come to LAE, Paint the Plow. And I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to thank Jamie Steinson, who started Paint the Plow at CHE. And then she helped VOE get it started. And then she helped LAE get it started. And I heard it was really successful. I saw Jamie sent me pictures from today. Just adorable, adorable program. Those plows will be out and about, hopefully not too soon because I'm not ready for the snow, but it's just going to be great to see our student artwork pushing the snow around. So thank you to Jamie Steinson, who has the patience of a saint. She doesn't even have kids at elementary school anymore. So God bless her. The last thing I want to talk about is where we are becoming known. Rim of the World is becoming known for our advocacy in the legislation and at all levels, local level, county level, state level. And the really, really great thing is we're actually being recognized. So among the delegate assembly, we have monthly delegate meetings for our region, San Bernardino County and Inyo. And we talk about legislation, things that are happening at CSBA, yada, yada, yada. And then we share our district stories. The CSBA PACER, she's our regional guide really. She asked me, hey, I would love to bring RIM to next month's meeting to talk about the advocacy you guys did for SB 1429. And she's like, would you do it? And I'm like, not me, Jordan. This is Jordan, baby. This is his point person. So Jordan presented at our delegate monthly meeting the other night and knocked it out of the park. He created a PowerPoint presentation of the timeline. He showed pictures of Snowmageddon and really created the timeline from the very beginning of discussion, pointing out that Bill Mellinger had a relationship with the supervisor down Rao and became part of that aftermath task force committee that made really, really deconstructed what happened to make further recommendations. And from there, Senator Ochoa Bogue's office contacting Jordan to say, what can we do? What's happening? What happened? And Jordan, working with the senator's office really closely to change ed code to allow for the word snow and snowstorm to be recouping of ADA. It put in, earthquakes were in there, fire was in there, not snow. So that changed. And so CSBA really wanted to know, how did we do that? What did you guys do? How can it be replicated? And Jordan's presentation was so spot on, including replication, how other districts can advocate for themselves, tell their stories, work with the legislator, and make change for their district. And Jordan told me that our PACER, CSBA PACE, wants him to present to Inyo County, the same presentation. So I'm just saying is that our advocacy is making a difference. We don't always win our battles, but we try and we get the word out. And Senator Ochoa reaches out to Jordan and says, okay, what's next? What else do you need? And then her office is asking us, or asking from us, could you please help us with our pieces of legislation? So we brought her bills 1410, 1411, 1412, and we voted to support them. And then Jordan, as board president, said, hey, guess what? We support you. And it's becoming a symbiotic relationship. And I just want to say kudos to all of our board, Dr. Mellinger for creating his relationships, Jordan for creating his relationships. Jordana is out there in the community on a local level, making differences, going to Crestline Connects and the different clubs, and she's speaking about our needs. And so, and Scott, didn't mean to leave you out. Scott is also I mean, he's on the school board. I mean, come on, man, that's a tough thing to do. So I'm just saying is that I'm really proud of Jordan and his presentation, and he represented our district so well. And he's been asked to present onward and upward. So thank you, Jordan, for putting in all that time on that presentation, being so articulate and just, rock on, buddy. You did us proud. Fight on. Oh, that's,
Wrong with that?
yeah, fight on. There you go. Thank you, Bethany, for saving me. So that's what I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, Cindy. That's very kind. I'll go ahead and respond to that and kick things off with, yes, yeah, I'm very excited about our work in our district from an advocacy perspective. I'm super excited to be able to talk to Inyo County, to talk to their board members. Region 16, that CSBA region, is the largest one in the state by area. So to be able to present to all of these school board members across San Bernardino County and next across Inyo County, it's great. And hopefully we can really turn out some SoCal activism for our schools because our students, our staff, our teachers deserve it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll say, aside from advocacy, or actually one more point on advocacy. It is important to develop these kinds of relationships before disaster strikes because it pays dividends to be able to have those relationships. We had Snowmageddon that Cindy had mentioned last year, and this year we had the line fire. And during the evacuation, Senator Ochoa called and said, "Hey, Jordan, what's going on in Rim of the World? What's going on in the district? How is the community doing? How are you doing? Is there any support that is needed from the office?" And yes, yeah, she reached out and we asked, and we made sure that we were as involved as we could be at every step of that fire. Dr. Sevillano was brought in to serve on the Office of Emergency Management, Office of Emergency Services advisory group there. So we had a seat at the table to know things firsthand, whatever was happening in those county or level, organizational meetings, so we could best prepare for our community and our students and our facilities. So that advocacy really does work. Moving on to something else that I think is very exciting. I received an email today from SoCal Edison and wanted to announce that they are bringing back their scholarship program. So it's their Edison Scholars Program, the Makers of Tomorrow. So it's a $50,000 grant that they are providing in the form of college scholarships for high school seniors. So they're providing $50,000 scholarships to 30 high school seniors who want to make a difference in the world by studying science, technology, engineering, or STEM or math, STEM in college. So that application period just opened up October 1st, and it will stay open through January 23rd. So if you're interested, I'm happy to send you the Edison Scholars webpage. Maybe you can go out in a parents fair or something. I'll also see if our local chambers can send it out. But that's a very exciting thing that they're doing. So wanted to announce that. Very much looking forward to our election season coming to an end with just a few more weeks to go. I'm excited that there's a lot of advocacy work being done on the Measure E campaign and with all the volunteers there. If you're interested in learning more about Measure E, I have been asked as board president to speak to the VOE PTA on Measure E and Prop 2. That will be next Wednesday, the 23rd, yes. So I'll be at CHE Fall Festival, and then after that, I'm going to head over to PTA. Some other advocacy organizations on the mountain have also asked me to speak on Measure E and Prop 2. They both go hand in hand, being able, if Prop 2 passes at the state level, that will allow our district to be able to grasp some state dollars. If Prop 2 passes, but Measure E does not pass, that means we as a community will be paying into that Prop 2 money, but will not be recipients of any of the benefits of that. Our district won't be able to access Prop 2 dollars if we don't have Measure E. So they are two bond measures that really go hand in hand. Having Measure will allow us to access those state dollars and extend our local dollars further by being able to get those state matching funds. If you're curious, you can attend that BOE PTA meeting, or you can also go to the Measure campaign website, and they have all their events listed there. Or you can reach out to any one of us. We're happy to provide you information or direct you to learning more about Measure. So I think that'll wrap it up for me tonight. I'll pass it on over to Scott Kraft next.
Thank you, Jordan. I want to also commend you on the work that you've done. You've been doing some great work, and I appreciate that. I'm not going to speak too much on that, but I do appreciate it. We actually have a really good board that works well together, and we have a great balance. And once we get the balance on Cindy's caffeine intake, it'll be a lot better. So there's just some small points there.
Please have one cup of coffee before this board meeting.
I would also like to say that it's nice to see the schools back in the full swing, doing great. I commend the high school for the throwback colors. I finally got to wear my Letterman's jacket again, and the red was finally in style again. I appreciate that. It was great homecoming. Everything went great. I think the community came together. There were so many alumni there. It was good to see that, and that's really nice to see, as the participation from our community and the alumni. Not only that night, later at Sky Park, and there were some other alumni events. And there's also the Rim High Memories group that is on Facebook that is posting stuff all the time. It's really fun to see. So if you get a chance, go onto that on Facebook. And I want to quote what RTA said as well. I think that's great. We are the best district on the mountain, and I think we're making those strides to be the best district in the county. And with that said, though, we have one huge obstacle in front of us, and that is the bond Measure. So not only do I encourage everybody to support it, but to learn about it and to try and talk to as many people throughout the day, set a number, and try and encourage as many people as you can to vote for this. We need it bad. This is totally for the kids and the safety of the kids. I think that's the one piece that we need right now. Everybody needs to be an advocate for our students. It's going to benefit the staff and everybody else, but this is directly benefiting the students more than anything else. So their safety is of utmost importance, and I want to see that happen. So this would be the best thing that we can do. And I just encourage you, get out and talk to everybody. Set a goal. How many people I'm going to talk to today? Encourage them to vote yes on Measure. We need that bond bad, so please do that.
Dear, get you out of here.
Thank you, Scott. Where can people learn about Measure? Perhaps Dr. William Mellinger can speak a little bit about that.
Yes for RIM schools. That's with FOR, not number 4. Yesforrimschools.com. Yes for rimschools.com. And yes for RIM schools. You want me to say anything else?
Whatever you like. It's your time.
Well, several little things that are happening. One is, can I just say that teachers are my heroes? And yes, Bethany, that means principals as well, and all the administrators and all that stuff. But of course, being married to one for almost 50 years adds to my appreciation for what every teacher does to make school special. But I just got to tell you that there's a lady at Valley of Enchantment Elementary School named Taylor who is doing a really special thing with students. I wish I could show you my pictures that I have on my phone, because she has students who are making coffee and selling that coffee to the teachers. And learning about economics, learning about customer service, learning about working together. I mean, it's great. I mean, and it's a creative thing that she is doing. And so I applaud Taylor. I'm also proud that I got to do Early Act again. And this time we're doing Early Act with first graders. And Veronica is in the first grade class and second graders. So we've got early act going for all grade levels now, except for kindergarten. That'll probably happen next. But we're actually, and what are we learning? We're learning about leadership. We're learning about serving the community and being a part of community. And it was so exciting to have about 17, I think it was, or 13, I guess it was, first graders in the very first early act session that we had. And just to see them and to see what they're going to learn and the excitement that they have. And that's excellent. And that takes me clear to a whole nother age group. And the fact is, at our Crestline MAC meeting recently, every one of our service agencies are CAL FIRE, Forestry Service, San Bernardino County Fire, San Bernardino Sheriff, and CHP. All we're talking about the fact that the career and college and career fair at RIM was excellent, and that the food was, and that the way they were treated was exceptional, Stephanie Phillips. And so, again, we do some excellent things here on the mountain, and I appreciate having the privilege to be a part of those. We also have another event. Cindy, what's happening tomorrow? Excuse me, Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Rim of the World High School. And since her mic's not on, she said e-waste. And that is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday or Sunday. Take your electronic waste material over there. Get rid of all those old laptops that you're not using. I would suggest that you clear them off before you give them away. But you can take any kind of, even batteries, I believe. And so there's a lot of opportunity, right? Batteries? No batteries? No. Okay, I didn't say batteries. Y'all just forget that, right? No one will remember what I said anyways. And let's see. Can I just say that as a board member, I appreciate the opportunities I have to talk to staff and their willingness to share sometimes their concerns and their burdens and their frustrations. And I just need to say, we listen. We also have burdens and frustrations and concerns. And the sad thing is we also have limited resources. But we really do listen. And I want to say this also, I believe that our administration is in a listening mode, and that includes our principals. They really try to listen and say, what are the needs, Sydney? And how can we address those needs to the best of our ability with what limited resources we have? But I appreciate the fact that we can be out in the community, we'll be out on the campus, and staff can talk to us and feel comfortable in sharing their concerns. And I'm holding back because of on what concern really is bothering me right now. But I have a big concern for some things that are happening within our district and how we can try to meet those needs. And some of that is about staffing. And that is something that takes finances, but it also takes us getting the right people. And it's sometimes hard to get the right people and to get them here on the mountain. So thank you, Jordan.
Thank you very much.
RIMforschools.com. Yes, for RIMschools.com. Yes, for RIMschools.com.
They have a very neat calculator that you can use to figure out how little RIM Measury will cost you. I think we'll round it out then with Dana, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. However, goodness, there's a lot that's already been discussed. So I'm going to start out by saying I'm just really excited by already the voices that I've heard at this meeting. Sometimes it's very frustrating to sit up here, and at times we can't interact. And it's just kind of a weird setup at having these board meetings and the structure around it. But as Bill just mentioned, I have absolute confidence that from one end of the table all the way around to the other, we're listening. A lot of us would like to say stuff at times and we can't, but please know that you're being heard. And I suspect also for most of us at times you're striking a nerve. I'm so excited to have a student voice already happen at this meeting. Kaylee, it took a lot of courage for you to speak up, and I appreciate it. Please know that, like Dr. Sevillano said, there will be follow-up that happens. It takes a lot of courage to come up. You did a beautiful job. Ethan's spectacular as well. So having the student voice, having the community voice with Marla speaking up as well, it shows how our community loves our students, and we need to give them more opportunity to be able to do things for our students and for our staff. And conversely, I think there's a lot of opportunity for, as a school district, for us to be able to do for our community. Segueing that into the bond, one of the things that may not be obvious is our school district is there not just for our students and staff, but also for our community. And with us having better facilities and better infrastructure, it will benefit our community. During Snowmageddon, we were an integral part, Mr. Willemsey was an integral part of really making sure that Running Springs was taken care of. Our school district opened our doors and we took care of our community. And we have school sites in each of our different communities, and it's incredibly important for the safety and security of all ages that our facilities be in the best shape possible. And right now, they need a lot of loving. And so this bond will help us be better prepared as a community for whatever might strike next. Let me see here. Some things that are coming up tomorrow, I imagine Ethan will talk about it. There is a free concert at MPH at 4:30. Our MPH band and our choir will be performing. And I have no doubt it will be absolutely lovely. And what's really cool, it's free. And then we'll have various events over the course of the school year. And to see how much these students learn and grow over the year is absolutely brilliant. And then these same students feed into the high school. The high school will be having performances, and we're going to be able to see our middle school students of yesteryear perform at the high school. And it's the progression, the growth, and our musicality, our performances are just getting better and better. Investing in music is incredibly important, not just for our students' development of musical ability, but also it's a community, and it develops their abilities in a lot of other areas and also addresses socio and emotional health. I really appreciate how our district has made that commitment to develop that program. Yes, funds are really tight. I love that the state has allowed us to be able to, at least for the next couple of years, fund such programs. Hopefully we'll be able to continue from there. And I know that as a community, we will benefit from that. Let me see what else I have down here. Okay, so as far as additional things for anybody who might want to lend a helping hand, Saturday there's going to be Lake Gregory cleanup. Show up. They'll provide you with the materials, and in the morning, spend a couple hours going and cleaning up around Lake Gregory. Your help will definitely be appreciated. And then let me see here, 2 other things. I got the opportunity to help out with at BOE with the dental screenings that happened a couple weeks ago. Again, our community being there for our students. It's free. They're bringing in all of our elementary students, various grade levels, and providing a quick dental screening. Some of these kids have never seen a dentist. And if students have need, it's being documented. They're getting referrals. Our Rotary pays for it. And dentists, local professionals donated their time. And it's a wonderful program. I believe they visited each of the elementary schools. It was supposed to happen when we were evacuated in Running Springs with the line fire and when schools were shut down. So it was rescheduled. But it's fantastic that we provide that service. And then there's one other thing. Right now, it's not on my top of my head as far as the date, but we will in May be having our 2nd annual Mountain Health and Resource Fair. It will be at the high school this year. I think the plan is to rotate it back and forth every other year at BOE and every other year at the high school. The absolutely brilliant Stephanie Phillips is helping out with organizing it, and Jessica Mazakis is also driving the effort. So it will be in May during the school year. It will happen after school. And it'll be, and more details will be forthcoming, but just to know that that will be happening as well. So thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to 9.2, our superintendent report, Dr. Paul Sevillano.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to provide a couple of updates. We've heard a common theme here tonight about needing resources in our district. And that has really been on our radar here at the district office, really looking at what are the resources that we can go after that are, that potentially are grants, that can bring additional people and funding to our district to provide additional services. One of the programs that we are very much interested in is that community schools grant funding program. It has provided already, we've seen a benefit to our district with those funds. One such program will be to really bring senior citizens to the elementary schools, provide some literacy support for those students. And, you know, the elementary schools developing that program as part of the grant that we received here. But there's two components to that. The other component is really the CTE aspect and creating internship programs for our students. And I want to thank Principal Williamstein and Stephanie Phillips, particularly for inviting Valley College to the district to see if we can partner. And out of that, we created a pharmacy technology program for our students in the future. I think that that's a tremendous benefit to really look at certification for those students who can really earn a really impressive wage for college students while they go to college. So thank you so much for both of you and Ms. Whiteside for participating in that and bringing that program to our district. We see that program as providing certification for our students and creating a career post-secondary opportunity for students to really consider in the future. I also want to, another benefit talk about for the community schools is really our community outreach specialists. One of the things that we have seen is tremendous outreach to our community about, you know, the events that's going on in our school district. How can we highlight them? How can we get parent participation in those? And we've really put together the Edge of Excellence newsletter that provides updates from all the schools on, you know, what's going on in our district and to highlight the great things that are going on in our district. So I want to just share with you, we are preparing for the next round of application for the community schools grant, but it's going to be really focused on, you know, how can we provide additional services to provide additional academic support for our students? And also, you know, how do we provide additional services for our families who are in need as well? And so I'm looking forward to that application process. There's a meeting on Tuesday, the cost meeting, where we'll have voices at the table to hear what are the needs of our families out there and how can we provide that integrated service for them to really support the needs of all of our students as well as our families. So with that, I'm going to stop. And I want to just, again, thank the folks who, particularly Stephanie and Brian and Jennifer, for bringing that resource to the table and having that relationship, as was talked a lot about tonight, to really extend those opportunities for our school district. So thank you for this time.
Thank you, Dr. Saviano. Yes, that Stephanie Phillips deserves a wonderful shout out for that pharmacy technology program. So thank you. We'll move on to 9.3, legislative report. Cindy?
Okay, so it's kind of quiet. The governor's already signed all the bills he's intending to sign. So right now is a very much a lull. The legislators will be back after the holidays in January, and the next cycle of presenting bills for the 2-year legislative cycle will come. It's really interesting to see how many new bills are introduced. Sometimes it's as many as 2,500 new bills. So it gets a little cray-cray. So that'll start in January, really accelerates in February as the deadlines starts coming up and meeting their faces. We are always asked, Senator Ochoa Bogue's office has thrown it out to Jordan. What are you struggling with? What do you need? What can we help you with in terms of putting into bill and taking it to the state? That's something that we can look at. I know that CSBA is also starting its process, and has put out to the districts. We are looking for what are the needs of your districts. So please let us know. I have on several levels talked about the challenges of that law requiring us to implement a learning plan after 5 days of being closed. You write the learning plan. After 10 days of closure, you implement the learning plan. And the challenges that I've detailed have been recognized when that initially was even introduced, that there were challenges of implementing that law. And there is an agreement that there needs to be some refinement. So if we could, again, get together and let's have a conversation so we can put it to paper and present to CSBA and to Senator Ochoa's vote and saying, this is reality. This is what is the challenge when students and families only have 30 minutes to leave their house or an hour. Sometimes the backpacks and the Chromebooks do not get into the car and they leave out of state or they leave for different parts of the state. And how do we get materials in their hands? And how do we contact them? Then there's 2 budgets at the federal level. The Senate budget has very, very small increases to Title I, special education, but at least it's something. The House has recommended cuts to the 2011 level of funding. That's pretty steep. Will it really happen? Probably not. They'll probably do continuation
Is that Title I you're talking about?
across the board,
Across the board.
2011 spending level. Look, Shannon's got a headache already. So that's unfortunate. We know that they want to have more accountability and cut the deficit down, but I'm not sure that cuts to Title I and special education is the way to do it. The last piece is very concerning. All of us should be concerned. The Fifth Circuit Court ruled that E-rate, the way it's funded and set up, is unconstitutional. Yeah, it's unconstitutional. However, there is going to be an appeal to the Supreme Court. So there's 2 parts to this. It is that it can be appealed to the Supreme Court for ruling on the spending or Congress could do something in this time, what they would call lame duck session, of putting just one sentence into how who oversees and distributes the money. That's all that's needed. Will it really happen? Probably not. But in the meantime, there is an appeal being filed with the Supreme Court. At this point, until there's a ruling by the Supreme Court, it will proceed. The E-rate will proceed as is, but it is a blow to every single school district in terms of E-rate. So, Janine, because it's legislative report, just really quick, say what E-rate is and how Shannon has another headache.
E-rate is a type of supplemental funding we get. So all of us who have cell phones or utility, data that charges, you see all the little taxes at the end of your bill. Part of that is from USAC, Universal Service. Something. I know. So, and then so with that funding, it's to support school and libraries, is the focus of that funding. And so, we don't get.
Universal Service Administrative Company.
Thank you. We don't get a ton of E-rate money and it's highly restrictive, and Mark Malone is instrumental in helping us navigate how we can spend it. And so, but it does supplement, and it has created us to afford things like access points and expand our our Wi-Fi networks and, do some of the, infrastructure and the phones, that are needed. With the thought of expanding access to students in the way of like Wi-Fi in libraries, if you think about it that way, access to information. So, we wouldn't be, we don't have any funding that comes from the state to supplement what, E-rate pays for. So as data and technology expands with Chromebooks and all of our use of data, and needing that expansion, that would have come out of the general fund if we didn't have that.
And the funding is distributed by the FCC. So the FCC is the one that filed the appeal to the Supreme Court. And what the court said was basically the Universal Service Fund is unconstitutional. So it can be fixed very quickly by having a one-liner that authorizes the FCC to distribute the funds in the manner that they have been doing it, or they're going to have to wait for the Supreme Court to rule. Just interesting. Between that and the 2011 budget level, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to start hyperventilating. So anyways, that's my update.
So our homework as a board is to start working on what we ought to start advocating for, both as a district, but also for stand-ups.
Yeah, we'll know more January, February as the bills are being presented. And Capital Advisors starts really disseminating that information and dissecting it of what bills, especially Senator Joe Vogue's bills, because they have specifically reached out to all of the districts in District 16 of what we can support and ones that we may feel are detrimental to our health. And we can take an opposition position as well if we feel something is going to really do harm to our district. So the real work begins, Jordan, after February, the February deadline. But in the meantime, if we have things that we see of need, we can start working with them. I think the one need that's come out of the line fire is a modification or some kind of massaging of the law in terms of school closure.
I agree. And that's something that we would need to work on before February.
Yes.
We want that introduced.
Right.
Thank you. Anything else? We'll move forward to 9.4, Student Representative Report, Ethan Smith from World High School.
All right, now it's time for the fun part, the school reports. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with our elementary schools. The VOE coffee cart program is up and running. Teachers at VOE are now able to submit orders Tuesdays and Thursdays online. Students then, under the supervision of resource teacher Mrs. Taylor and paraeducator Beth Nunn, complete each order and deliver them all over campus. The program is off to a great start and wouldn't be possible without parent and family support and donations. A huge shout out to our school board member, Dr. William Mellinger, and his local coffee shop, Higher Grounds, for sponsoring the program and providing the coffee. LAE held a successful day of awesomeness. The students had such a fun time. What a great name. Even with the school closures, LAE continues to be invested in Orton Gillingham professional development and usage. Or yes, that is the right word. We are also taking advantage of some professional development days to get Amplify Science Plan for the year. Let's move on to MPH. 95% of MPH students completed their first iReady reading and math assessments. Rim High Marching Scots invited the MPH band to perform with them at the October 10th football game. Our students were thrilled to be part of such an event. Our fall concert is tomorrow, Friday, October 18th at 4:30. Please go support the arts. Mrs. Ice's first period class won her class period attendance challenge with a high student attendance rate of above 90%. She honored them with donuts. Yum. Sixth grade math is making moves in unwrapping standards. History is committed to furthering their work during a JVC day. SPED inclusion is being weaved into the plan and conversations. Jane from Solution Tree is coming back on the 28th to support our learning and growth in our PLC efforts. And the Halloween bash is on Wednesday, October 30th at 5 p.m. in the MPH Spook-atorium.
Words right there.
Oh, things are happening. There we are. Mountain High School, first credit check celebration equals 302 credits. Our outstanding MHS students earned 302 credits in September alone, 6.5 credit average per student. 230 credits earned, I believe that is supposed to be 230 credits more earned in August, which is, what a great jump. First graduate of 2024 to 25 school year. Our first MHS student successfully presented his senior portfolio and graduated in September. Twenty 24 to 2025 graduates shall be invited back at the end of the school year to attend grad night at Sky Park and attend MHS's official graduation. RVA, REM Virtual Academy, Mixer on October 29th, 2 to 4 p.m. Mark your calendars for RVA's first Mixer of the school year on October 29th from 2 to 4 p.m. RVA students and their families will enjoy pumpkin painting and experience the Danger Things escape room brought to you by RIM Family Services. Don't forget to wear your Halloween costume. School dress code appropriate. See you then. Highest engagement and attendance. RVA TK 5th teacher, Mrs. Lewis, has seen the best attendance month of the school year. We are thrilled for the engagement piece. Youth mental health first aid training. YMFHA training is available for RVA staff members in December to best identify signs and symptoms of students facing mental health challenges and crisis response. My favorite. Rim of the World High School. On September 26th, RHS hosted the Career and College Fair for the students of RHS, MHS, and RVA. Over 3 dozen colleges, businesses, and trade schools attended to provide post-secondary options for our students. It was a great event for all. I remember there was this, specifically this, there was a dentist there, and you were able to give your friends like dental checkups. I wasn't doing it because that's scary, but it looked like a lot of fun. We are deep into the fall sports season. Girls tennis, girls volleyball, football, and girls cross country all remain playoff eligible. We are excited to see how everyone's season wraps up. RHS is in the middle of its WASC self-study. RHS staff is in the process of writing its WASC report for our March 2025 visit. We are excited to showcase the progress RHS has made. On October 8th, RHS PTSA hosted Scott's University. Families came to learn the ins and outs of college applications. On November 6th, we will host a college essay night, giving families the opportunity to learn about how to write a good essay for admissions. I will probably be attending that. Homecoming.
Do you procrastinate? Are you procrastinating?
I would never. Yes. Homecoming was a big success. It was a bit of a buzzer beater, but we're a second half team. We hosted the classes of 1980 to 1985, and RHS football came up with a last second win. Yet again. And that concludes the October school report.
Thank you so much, Ethan. That was wonderful. We'll move on to 9.5, educational services, presentation of school highlights at Lake Arrowhead Elementary School. Fiscal impact.
Red means go. Yes. Good evening, board, cabinet, colleagues. And I have a microphone now, so I get to say thank you. Oh, she left. We're Arrowhead Arts. But I was gonna give her a shout out because they have generously allowed us to use materials from their program for our music. There's incredible materials and Kayla's thrilled to be able to use those, so it's gonna give them give them a shout out, and Jamie. We had our paint the clown today and it was amazing. The kids loved it. We had such a phenomenal time. Super grateful to Caltrans and Jamie and our PTA for setting that up because I went to LAE and I never got to do anything like that. So I'm thrilled that my daughters got to put their little handprints on the plows and now we get to see them around. So very exciting. So colleagues all know me for the most part. Jacqueline Montan, I'm the proud principal of Lake Arrowhead Elementary School. This is our mission statement. The kids do this every Friday during our Friday flag, where we talk about being like lifelong learners and leaders, achieving our academic and personal goals, where everyone has genius, which is part of our 7 habits. And we will go on. No, we won't. There we go. So I wanted to tie in our cultural beliefs to what we do at LAE already, which is our 7 habits, 7 habits for happy kids. If you know anything about Covey, have read that, then we are in year 4 of our 7 habits practice. And it was kind of easy for us to take on these district beliefs because they already tie into our 7 habits. So impactful actions, we're synergizing, we're getting together and we're doing things as a community, school community as a whole. Sharpen the saw, so we're working on our skills. Habit 4, think win-win. We're all trying to do better for each other and for ourselves. Habit 5, these are with aligned actions. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So we want to hear other people's needs and before our own. And future focused, we are proactive. Habit number 1, that's easy. We begin with the end in mind and we put first things first. So it aligned beautifully. So I get to do shout outs with my staff and my students and I get to say the habit and then one of our cultural beliefs. So it worked out really well. So some positives, our enrollment is increasing and it's so exciting. When I started July 1 of last year, we had 390 students and now we have 463 and got 2 new enrollments today. So we continue to grow, which is amazing. Getting a lot of alumni students that I went to school with, they're bringing their kids back, so it's great. And our community involvement is also growing. So we have ELAC has grown to include, and I missed the end of that, good job. Quite a few people. We have an average about 8, but they are involved in DLAC as well. They show up for those meetings, they're super involved, our ELAC parents. Our PTA is incredibly active. They put on so many activities. We had 17 PTA volunteers today and everything went so smoothly. I mean, they were covered in paint by the end of the day, but we had a DJ and everyone had the time of their life. The PTA volunteers were wonderful. And we have trunk or treat coming up. We have a BMX assembly for bullying next week. We have, what else? Fire and Sheriff's Department coming for Red Ribbon Week, and PTA coordinates all of these things for us. I give the go ahead, I sign off on some paperwork and make sure we have a good schedule, but they're amazing. They've done a great job. School Site Council, we have had more participation this year. We had a quorum last year and we're increasing our School Site Council. We have 2 additional parents this year that are participating, so that's amazing. And our volunteer pool, we get volunteers all the time. We had one come in at 4 o'clock today to sign up. And Meet the Masters, this is the first year in a long time that we've had a Meet the Masters trained volunteer for every single classroom. So we're starting that really soon. Our librarian introduces the Meet the Masters artist. And then we have the volunteers that come in and do the actual lessons. And we have a volunteer that's trained for every class this year. So that's really exciting. Our dashboard, and we have to have one of those like realistic things, not all positives. English Learn Your Progress, we're proud of. We would like to continue to increase that by having more support, of course, but we know the realistic possibilities of that. Our bilingual instructional aide is great. She works really hard and she collaborates with the teachers. So that's really exciting to see that. Right now we have 50 English learners and we're offering additional support to newcomers. We are getting a lot of newcomers. And so she is great in helping support those students. Orange and yellow, of course, we would like for those to increase. We had the 8.2 point increase in mathematics from 22 to 23, so that's helpful. ELA, we're hoping that with the science of reading, the Orton Gillingham, that we'll start to see increases in that as well. So our LCAP and SIPSA goals are 3 across there. I'm gonna kind of go more into each of those. This is just kind of a general overview. We're trying to increase student achievement and support PD, facilitate safe schools and positive climate, and engage family and community. And we'll talk a little bit more about each of those. So goal 1, we're increasing student achievement and support professional development. My teachers are really gung-ho about Orton Gillingham. They started science of reading years ago. And when the opportunity presented itself for OG, they were all in. I think all but 2 of our staff members have participated in the professional development to get trained in either comprehensive plus or morphology. So they're really excited about it for the structured literacy to be able to start that in an early age for our students. So we are a Leader in Me focused school. Like I said, we're in year 4 and there's 3 sections to that: culture, academics, and leadership. We'll talk a lot about student leadership here at the end. And we have teams that work on those goals. And we have a heavy focus on academics, clearly, and we talk a lot about science of reading and structured literacy and our inquiry-based approach. We do a lot of Hegarty. We have our What I Need intervention with our kindergarten and TK teachers, and they are focused on that multi-sensory approach and the structured literacy with our students in small groups, and they've been doing that for years, so it's really beneficial for the kiddos. Like I said, we do the professional development, participate in iReady and Amplify Science. We continue the inquiry process with grade level and special education collaboration. And we have a lot of decodable readers that our students love that have comprehension in the phonics and phonemic awareness. We worked with RIM Education Foundation to get some more of those on campus so we can help support that with the students. And goal number 2, facilitate safe schools and positive school climate. We have an SEL focus with Leader in Me and Slumberkins. That's the cute little yak there on the bottom. It's an SEL curriculum that has growth mindset, family change. If students are going through divorce or anything, we have supports for that. Chris Gomes is great with that as well. And that was provided through a grant from RIM Ed for us. We have a cubby coupon token economy, so I enjoy doing PE principal days. We do pizza, we do ice cream parties. They get some fun prizes. PTA has provided some swag, so the kids get to go home with some t-shirts, some LAE t-shirts. We have a lot of student matrices all over the place, positive relationships with RIM Family Services, Mountain Counseling and Training, Hearts and Lives. We do care cells referrals. We have our tier 2 counseling referrals with Ms. Gomes. So we have and we have Cindy Parker on our campus, who's like the PBIS guru. And if you have a question about that, she has 17 answers for it. So she's really great to help, foster those positive reinforcements as well. We conduct our safety team meetings and safety checks and our safety drills. We all participated in Great Shakeout today. During Paint the Plow, that was an adventure. They did great. They all squatted where they were with their head, bless their hearts. And goal 3, there's one of our Paint the Plow pictures from today, snow fun. It was adorable. So we participate in Kelvin Pulses and Leader in Me. The top graphic is an example of our measurable results assessment that's given to families, staff, and students. So it's similar to Kelvin, but it gives us more specific results for our school from Leader in Me. And then we develop goals to work on them at the end of last school year for this school year. We have our school site council meetings. We have increased attendance, the ELAC with the DLAC participation, lots of volunteer orientations. PTA has been wonderful, and they've been holding those orientations after every PTA meeting because we have so much interest, and they're very patient. They do 2-hour meetings and then do an additional volunteer orientation after that. We hold a VIP Friday flag instead of doing once a trimester what's the word I'm looking for? Not, I don't know, awards assemblies. We don't do awards assemblies. We do VIP where we honor the students for working through some of the 7 habits, and we spread it out so more kids get recognized and the families come and participate in that. Again, we have positive community relationships with Arrowhead Arts, with RIM Ed Foundation, our counseling partners, and PTA, so busy. They came over the summer, so many volunteers. The bottom right is a picture of some of our volunteers that came and painted our 3rd grade hallway, our 1st and 2nd grade hallway, and our cafeteria. And they look so much better. We had a lot of grayish around our school, and they donated their time, and PTA paid for all the materials and came and helped out with beautifying our campus. It may be bad underneath, but it looks pretty now. So I wanted to talk about our student leadership. This is a big focus in Leader in Me. So these are just some of the opportunities that we have on our school site for student leadership. So one of our students over there in the left, Odin Warner, he started this chess club, and he is teaching other students how to play chess at recess. So he's in that picture in the gray, but we have pretty much any student is able to participate, and he goes and he does one-on-one and he teaches them how to play, and then they all get to go during recess and participate in the club. We have our older kiddos help out with our preschool buddies, so they're up there on the left. We have our library leaders. Our students do announcements every day, and they handle the flag, the raising and the lowering of the flag every day. We have our Synergize, which is down on the left, our Friday flag. We do our little student statement. We're like leaders, safe, respectful, and responsible. We have student-led conferences and leadership portfolios. My daughter did her first student-led conference this year. Bless her heart, she was so nervous, and she's an extrovert like I am, but I think she was afraid of getting in trouble. But a lot of our teachers do that with their leadership portfolios, and the students have their goals and they track them and they tell the parents, you know, this is what I'm proud of, this is what I need work on. So it's really fun to see the kids grow through that and set their own personal and academic goals. And then they're able to achieve a lot of them by the end of the year. So lots of opportunities for leadership at our school. And this is the part that I'm really going to try hard not to cry on, okay? No surprise for my colleagues back here. We are future focused, and these are our kids. Literally district kids, my own daughters. And, we want to continue to create these amazing opportunities for our kids. I cried in my interview because of the why question too, because I can't help it. Like I said, I'm an alumnus of Lake Arrowhead Elementary, and our hearts are in it because they're there with us, and we want to create the best for them and be future focused and have more inclusive practices. And we're trying to involve our classified staff more often. They're becoming part of our Leader in Me teams, and they want more say and opportunity and decision making, so we're making that available to them. We're trying to do as many inclusive practices as we can with our students with IEPs. We are going to try to do Parent Academy through Leader in Me, where we talk more about the 7 habits with the parents. We share what we can with them, but we want them to be involved as well. We would love to become a Leader in Me lighthouse school where other schools get to come and see the wonderful things that we're doing. So we're working toward that. That's one of our school goals in the next couple of years. And hiring and retaining an amazing staff, like Dr. Gumpier said, we're trying to find the right people and the people whose hearts are truly in it and want to be there for our actual kids and the 430 other kids that belong to others, but they're ours. But like I made it without too many tears. And that's it. Those are the, thank you for letting me brag about our awesome kids.
Thank you so much. It's great to, I'm glad that we've split these up on our governance calendar to focus on each elementary individually instead of doing all elementaries in one presentation. I think it's helpful.
I just want to give a shout out too, because PTA does activities and program support, but but they also do little things like painting the hallways and the cafeteria. But that sign in front of the school that's really, really old, decades and decades, PTA maintains that every single year. So they hire the backcountry to come and they maintain it to make sure that it will last another 100 years. Snowmageddon did a doozy on it. So I'm so happy. It looks so good in that picture. So cute.
Thank you so much. We'll move forward to 9.6 Educational Services, presentation of the 2024 California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, CASP, if you didn't know, scores and data for Rim of the World Unified School District. Ms. Whiteside, please take it away.
All right, good evening, esteemed board, our cabinet members and colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity. Challenging to go after that last presentation. Very, very well done. And having my own little one paint the plow today, I got to see his handprint, which is really exciting. Just echoing what Mrs. Longto has shared, that, we're a family, Rim family truly, and that doing great for our entire community, and including our own students. Dr. Sevian, this is you. So as I go into data, let's all get excited about that. Yay, data, thank you. I like the excitement back there. So I wanted to start with our why. I also wanted to echo a thank you to Mrs. Longto for being future focused, aligned, and impactful in focusing in on the core and cultural beliefs. Wanted to start with that as well, connecting to our why and making sure that we are student focused. You may have seen the picture that's in the top right corner before on a mailer for, I think there's something called a bond. Anyhow, you've seen that picture up there at the top. But really tying in as we look at our instructional vision, our core beliefs, and our district priorities that are outlined in the LCAP. When we look at the CASP scores and we look at the data by school and we look at it across our subgroups and across our district, we start in a place of building relationships and trust and building a community that really puts our students first. And so again, wanted to tie that connection all together. And then also give you a visual representation of how we look at many of the initiatives. All of them are obviously not up there, but as we look at the initiatives, how we continue to align them and connect the dots so that we can, again, be impactful, be aligned, and future focused for our students. So you will see some examples of things you heard in Mrs. Longto's presentation up there in visual representation. You've likely seen this graphic before. It's not a new one, but it's how we connect our assessment across the board. Assessment is not just CASP at the end of the year as a summative or the LPAC as a summative, but that's looking across the board and connecting the initiatives of looking at our iReady diagnostics. Our secondary schools just finished their first go around of the first diagnostic with iReady, so that we are now in a place where we're giving iReady across our district through elementary, middle, and high school. And the great thing with your diagnostic is giving you an opportunity to take a look at English and math proficiency to give access to the grade level and content area standards. Give an idea for our teachers and our teams to look at the data and identify where our students are so that we can meet them at the point of their need. And then as we look at our formative assessments, and something that we're working on currently is building our common assessments in those units that are, approximately 4 to 6 weeks, but we're building up to that. And as we build those common assessments, how again do we connect our initiatives? So really wanted to just spend a couple minutes on that, connecting the assessment practices and process throughout our district. And we'll be highlighting at the end the initiatives across our district and across our teams on doing that. So I kind of jumped ahead with this slide, again, connecting past our diagnostics and our common assessments. So I'll jump past that and get you straight to the data. What I did for the data is give you a couple of highlights at the top of each, starting with schools with ELA Math CAST, the LP, which is your English language proficiency indicator, and then your student population. So you have an overview or a picture of our district as a whole, inclusive of our student populations at the time. So you can look at what that data represents. And essentially what you see on your percentages, the numbers that you see are a combination of met and exceeded. So students who have met or exceeded the standard, that is the percentage in English, math, science, across the board for our school sites and then for our district. So as we look at that data, I'm just going to pull out some of the highlights there for us so that we can look at some areas where we have seen some growth. What I'm happy to share is that across the board, the theme is growth. There is a lot of improvement across the board. There are areas we're continuously improving in. But when we look at our areas of pride, progress, and potential, really honing in on our strengths is part of identifying our capacity. So as a district as a whole, our ELA improvement, we saw an increase there. And then specifically our socioeconomically disadvantaged students and our Hispanic students both saw an increase in ELA overall as a district. In math, overall we increased, ELs increased, students with disabilities increased, socioeconomically disadvantaged, Hispanic, and white. So many groups increased in math overall as a district. Is that right? I'm so sorry. My son normally takes his medicine at 7, so little TMI, but that's my reminder. Hopefully Scott's on that. Okay.
Got
But it didn't turn off. Yes, Scott's on it. He's got it covered. That's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. Alrighty. So moving forward there and starting with our first school, narrowed down. I also wanted to identify when you look at the chart that is built, you're going to see all students, then EL, students with disabilities, socioeconomically disadvantaged or LI, low income, are often used interchangeably with very slight differences depending on what report you're reading. So oftentimes they're put together. 2 or more races, homeless, foster youth, Hispanic, and white. Now, there are more than those subgroups that are identified, like for example, in your LCAP or across your state and your county. But looking at English learners, students with disabilities, and 2 or more races, those are areas that we are working on targeted intervention for. So we are working directly with the county on that. So when you see that organization, and then when we look at our increase or improved services for our homeless, foster youth, and then the SED and LI, or the socioeconomically disadvantaged and low income. So I won't necessarily point out all of those, but those were the subgroups of the total of 13 that are highlighted typically in LCAPs. Those are the ones that are highlighted currently in our LCAP for specific areas. All right, so as we look at, start with CHE. There we go. So looking at CHE, you can see that our overall performance went up, socioeconomically disadvantaged up, Hispanic and white, all in English. Great job, CHE. Pretty substantial gains across both English and math. Also, again, saw increases with students with disabilities, our socioeconomically disadvantaged, Hispanic and white students. And then with our CAST, you can see that the English learners increased, socioeconomically disadvantaged and Hispanic subgroups all increased. For the CAST specifically, wanted to point out to you that this year the CAST will be what they call the status bars. So the CAST is going to join the California School Dashboard. But this year it will be the purple, what looked like they would say the cell phone bars. Next year it will add a color. So we'll have that color for proficiency like you see with English and math. So having adopted Amplify 2 years ago and just finishing our secondary science NGSS adoption, again, we're making sure we're prioritizing the science access and curriculum as well. All right, looking at LAE, you can see that again, the trend is up. So for our English, you see an overall performance increase for English learners, an increase for our socioeconomically disadvantaged and Hispanic students. And then in math, again, overall is an increase. Our ELs, socioeconomically disadvantaged and Hispanic students. So again, that's a trend that we're seeing for both English and math at LAE. Great job. And then again, our English learners and socioeconomically disadvantaged in the science. So taking the CAST. So you can hear some trends there at LAE in terms of their areas of growth. For VOE, We see an improvement in overall performance in both English and math, with specific subgroups in English and math increasing the socioeconomically disadvantaged, 2 or more races, and Hispanic. And then similar information adding in students with disabilities and our white students in math. And then increases of students with disabilities and white in the cast. So again, looking at those improvements overall at VOE, great job. We're continuing to see improvement across all of our elementary schools. Okay, there we go. All right, so NPH highlights, looking at our overall performance, we have improvement in English and math overall, and then improvement for students with disabilities in both English and in math, and then socioeconomically disadvantaged, Hispanic and white. So across the board in both English and math, we saw those increases across the board, and then students with disabilities saw the biggest jump with our science. As well as our Hispanic students. All right. Taking a look at Mountain High School, their areas of growth were in English overall and for socioeconomically disadvantaged students and white students. And they are continuing to work on their progress there. And then Rim High School, in English, we saw an increase in 2 or more races and then a steady performance for math and with students with disabilities in math. So 2 or more races being your highest jump in English and then your highest jump in math being students with disabilities. So again, knowing that you have that data in front of you, I'm kind of just giving you some of the highlights. All right. And then RVA saw their biggest jumps for English learners and students with disabilities in English. And then in math, English learners and the white subgroup. And then with science, they had an increase overall from 8% to 17% in science. And then increases with socioeconomically disadvantaged Hispanic and white students of RVA. So again, looking at that data overall, we typically look at what's next, right? What are the initiatives that are happening like you were able to hear in the last presentation for LAE? What are we doing for our English learners? Something brought up earlier today. Each of our school sites work on an English learner site plan. They are working with their EL coordinators to build how they provide integrated and designated supports. That work with their EL coordinators in collaboration with their ELAC, then coming to our DLAC meetings. They're really doing some great work with their teams and listening, a lot of listening. We're hearing that there is an interest in more Chromebook access, and that came directly from one of our ELAC meetings, and that's at the elementary level. So we actually are working on a survey that's going to be going out soon to our elementary families and staff to identify whether there may be some interest in going 2-to-1 across the district. So looking at that, and that was being responsive to one of our ELAC team meetings, who then brought that to the DLAC meeting. Looking at our students with disabilities and how we are working on universal design, equity, and access. Mrs. Burke is doing a great job working on the various areas of inclusion, but also wrapping in mental health, attendance. We had a counseling meeting today. As we look at vertical articulation, not just in academics, we also look at the impact of chronic absenteeism, behavior, mental health, and how we can connect those dots. So an example, today we had our first counseling meeting of the year. We are doing those quarterly at this time, and our counseling teams are interested in building their version of a pacing guide on what life skills are appropriate to the developmental grades, and are interested in having what we call a GVC day, or a guaranteed and viable curriculum specific for mental health. And so we're looking at resources to give them release time to be able to come together and to build that so that there is that articulation across the grade levels and across our district. And again, looking at connecting the initiatives across the board, as Dr. Seviano shared, looking at things like our community schools initiative and working with our partnerships with our seniors and with CTE, bringing in the pharmacy tech certification, looking at how we can build from preschool as we're working with Mrs. Smith from San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools on a preschool grant, all the way up through working with the Adult Ed Consortium. There's a meeting next week. If you're interested, please reach out. We want your insight and that participation. Also want to echo the hard work of Mr. Hansen and Mrs. Haberlin. They're looking for, as we heard today in some of our other presentations, how we strategically plan our resources, how we strategically plan for staff, how we make sure that, cell phone policies are updated and are not, I thought I pushed stop, it was snooze. Since I've gone 10 minutes, so I'm almost up here. But really looking at the efforts of our teams across the board, of our board members who are out there doing their time with trustees and listening to our community, of our site administrators who are pulling together all of the MTSS, the academics, the attendance, the behavior, and oh boy, what just happened 5 minutes ago, and how can I find a solution while also turning it into a positive? Being thankful for our teachers and our support staff, and a big shout out to our instructional coaches who are really a support system to making sure that the guaranteed and viable curriculum, the development of common assessments, looking at our initiatives, and really working together as a team to support our people. I know a lot of information in this, and you do get your Ed Services Board updates on a weekly. There are a lot of meetings that we're engaged in, and again, really trying to connect the dots so that nothing is done in a silo, but that is a connection. So that we're really looking at our students that we saw in the picture, from Mrs. Longtail and across our community, across all of our schools, and saying, how are we preparing them for their future from preschool all the way through adult? And what opportunities can we provide, whether that be alternative or short-term independent study, home hospital. There are people in this district that care so greatly for the future of our kids. And I just want to thank you all for doing that. Huge thank you to our teachers and our support staff as well. Because again, every day they are the face that puts, the smile on our students and supports them and recognizes where they are and meets them at the point of their needs. So again, I went kind of quick, then I'm past my 10 minutes as my snooze just reminded me. So thank you for the opportunity. Any questions at all?
I do have a question. Going back to VOEs and their test scores, I'm remembering during CAS testing, there was some challenges with Wi-Fi during that time. Is there any way to be able to know if and how that did impact our students' performance?
That's a really good question. I think we have to look at our data usage, but I don't know that we could really dial it down. Any ideas that had come your way, or
being able to know when it happened in terms of what testing was going on at that time may be helpful. And then also just for any of our school sites, if there's ways for us to be able to be proactive moving ahead. It's challenging with power outages and dealing with the outside sources for our resources, but it's pretty sad to me that we're not able to get that data necessarily in an accurate fashion because of those outside factors.
Right, absolutely. Well, and again, I give our credit back to our teachers who keep that stability in the classroom, even when the challenges arise or the Wi-Fi goes out. They wait, they smile, they encourage, and but that is something I can definitely follow up on, see if there's any more data I can.
I kind of feel like there might be an asterisk on some of those data points.
Could be.
I just want to say that, like, that across the board, Hispanic student growth in both math and English, it's just so impressive. And I'm sorry that Sydney's left, but like the whole, I know, she talked about the need for additional bilingual aids because of the amount of kids coming in without any English skills. Yet, I mean, look at their math in the EL going from 3.23% to 19.23% in math, EL students. I mean, what I know that they're using limited resources, but holy cow, that's a huge jump for math, especially in an EL group. So I just want to say that yes, limited resources, as Bill has pointed out, but and Jordana has pointed out, but where we have some favorable trends and we definitely know our challenges. We definitely know our challenges. So, but yeah, and Hispanic students, I'm so excited about the Hispanic trends.
Absolutely, I would echo that.
Just one additional comment is, I suspect that our students' capabilities are much higher than what we're showing on this in this testing. If there's ways for us to consider for the future with incentivizing students and or staff to be able to make this a higher stakes, there's more to what we're doing than what can be shown on the test, but I do believe that there's sometimes maybe a lack of, I'm thinking from when I was at the high school, students may not necessarily can take it seriously. There may be some also other factors that families may be influencing in terms of, it just doesn't matter, just don't worry about it. Where it doesn't, if we could have our best possible data, it would be much more helpful for us to be able to then tweak as we go through.
Yeah, I mean, we all understand this is a point in time. Kids might not be doing their best that day. It is in May and, it's almost the end of school. But we do know from student feedback at the high school level, 11th graders really do not have skin in the game. And they are honest about that. They're like, they don't get a grade for it. They don't understand that it's part of the EAP, the early assessment program, that places them in English and math if they're college bound. And if they're not college bound, it really doesn't become important to them. So Jordana's right. How do we message that this is important for the school district, but most people are like, that's your problem, not my problem. How do we create that climate and culture? This is rhetorical. I'm not asking for an answer, but how do we create a climate and culture where it does become important? I know that when my kids were in elementary school, it was really important. We made sure our breakfast was the best breakfast and their pencils were sharp. They went to school ready to tackle that task. By the time they got to 11th grade, especially Brianna, I'm like, can you have another cup of coffee and get out the door? And so there's just such a huge enthusiastic nature of kids as they go through. And Jordana's right. How do we incentivize, create that climate where parents also buy in, but the students really buy into being proud of their score, being proud of contributing to the district, and also the 11th graders understanding that if they are college-bound EAP, there are a lot of parents that have no idea what an EAP program is, none. And they don't understand that it's going to cost them money if their kid is doodling on the test. So I don't know how to tackle. I would have to think about it. Bribery, food, pizza, I don't know.
I will share, as we look at some of the growth for some of our school sites, I know that our school sites have shared how they do after action meetings with their leadership teams. So after they work with, and they wrap up CAS, we've heard this over the years where they talk about what worked and what could be improved. And then how they build parent engagement nights to share the steps for success and what CAS looks like. We've had student presenters in years past to get student voice. Students who are currently at RIM and students who graduated who come back and share. And then we've had 6th grade AVID students who have shared videos. And then also incentivizing, I've seen some of our sites look at the CASP letter and they turn the CASP letter into a specific letter for their school site. And they have, who am I dedicating my assessment to? What incentives are we going to be part of as we are all getting there early? Our PTAs who, get excited out front and put out the balloons and the welcome, blow up, the machine. I have no idea what that word is right now. But the things that get kids excited, even if they maybe didn't have that extra cup of coffee, right? They're walking in pumped, we have our mascots outside, but as we continue to collaborate on those different things that are not just one day, right? But that are ongoing and that potentially you have your CASP prep that happens in fall, right? And that you start to realize that it's all year long and that assessment is connected and that the common assessments we build and that we are working on as a team get us to the place of CASP and CASP readiness.
So I know that in the past, students have brought forward both in PTA meetings at RIM High School as well as site council several years ago, we had very articulate students who basically said, we haven't seen this test since 8th grade. What do we do? I don't, and the test has changed. So are they able to quote unquote practice 9th and 10th? That's what I want. I know you know the answer. That's why I'm asking. Because the students that they talk about needing practice because they haven't done it for a couple of years.
Absolutely.
One last thing, just to throw this out there as well, is if I understand correctly, the CAS testing needs to happen about when 3/4 of the school year is through, and it's basically testing on that amount, but it's testing on a year's worth of curriculum. I know a zillion years ago when I was in the classroom in one of our math meetings, we had talked about, hey, maybe after the testing is over, maybe we start on the next year's curriculum. So we're able to get a full year in. And just throwing, that's kind of hard to be able to get your arms around, but it's kind of hard that we're being tested on a full year when we haven't completed a full year, but possibly looking at, sometimes it's throwaway time-ish after the testing is over. Taking a look at starting to dive into the next year's curriculum to get a head start on it, just throwing that out as an idea.
And definitely something our instructional coaches are working on with their site teams, along with our site administrators, to look at how do we pace our guaranteed and viable standards right along the way, and how do we make that possible, and then what happens after testing and the process ongoing, right, when you come back from summer, and how that goes. So lots of great feedback, absolutely.
I just wanted to go back to what Cindy was talking about, and just curious the status of our IABs, particularly at that 9th and 10th grade level. Just getting back to that question that you had.
Because we changed our platform, so we're using iReady. So are we, in terms of building assessments, are we using IEBs at the high school level, or that's really what the question is have we changed that format, or are we still pulling out the IEBs because those are based on the CAS?
So going back to the connection between the assessments, your IABs are an option for standards-based assessments. What we're working on right now, iReady is not a replacement for that.
Okay.
iReady is a diagnostic, which is going to give you your English and math current proficiency, which gives our teachers information on where our students' ability is to access grade level and content area standards. So if your reading level, your proficiency level is at grade level, your ability to access grade level content standards in English, math, science, or history, that information is going to help our teachers with ensuring that we do create that universal access. The IABs are an option that can be considered. iReady is a great predictor for CASP, even though it's not the specific, let's say, science or history standards, but in terms of the English and math proficiency levels. But when we connect those dots, it's something that we go back and forth with. And even as we're at the county, kind of looking at what districts are using IABs, which ones, with Fidelity, what grades are they using them? And it really does vary. We do see iReady across the county. And across the grade levels all the way through 12th grade. And so, it's part of the diagnostic system. And the beauty of the common assessments in getting ready for CASP is really putting that in measurable chunks every about 4 to 6 weeks so that you have an opportunity to provide that assessment, see where your students are, and provide intervention or enrichment. And that's the great work that we're continuing this year is, piggybacking on the guaranteed and viable curriculum work from last year to identify, okay, now what common assessments are we given along the way that are going to prepare our students? Because sure, the CASP is one day, but our common assessments and our diagnostics are along the way to help prepare our students. And I think that we're synthesizing that system, and we're in that process right now, and looking at how we can, best improve that. So great questions, and we love your feedback along the way.
Sometimes
I think, anything else? Well, I'm very excited to see improvements across the board. And I know there are areas where we still have more work to do, so I'm excited about that. I just want to tout RIM's progress a little bit here. Our increases in ELA and math scores those percentage increases far outpaced the percentage increases saw at the county level and at the state level. So that's worthy of recognition that our progress. I'll also give a shout out specifically to CHE because I'm a little biased that CHE saw their scores surpass their pre-pandemic scores. And at that same time, it have overtaken the county and state scores averages. So CHE has not only improved past pre-pandemic, but they also surpassed the county and state scores too. So that's also worth celebrating.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our last report of the evening. That's 9.7, Business Services. Update of budget enrollment report by Jane Haverland, Chief Business Official.
Hello, thank you for having us this evening. We're kind of in between big reports, these times of year in October and November. So I'm here just to talk real briefly about where we're at with budget adjustments for the new year as we gear up for our first interim financial report that will be presented to you in December. And just share some information on enrollment in ADA. So our official enrollment in ADA is as of month 2. So that's about 2.5 weeks old. So, plus and minuses from on a site level to where we were 2 weeks ago, we could have had some growth. That'll be captured in the next month's enrollment report. But just real quickly, right now, our enrollment district-wide is 2,876. You have several enrollment and attendance reports that I gave you. You can look at those and even call me or we can go over them with questions. We are a little bit lower than our projected enrollment, but we're higher than where we ended last year. So we do have we ended last year at 2,837. So we're higher than where we ended in June. But then we're still a little bit less than what we projected our enrollment to be. We did project our ADA very conservatively because we've had such a kind of a post-pandemic ADA loss in ADA and attendance rate, which we've been addressing through many avenues like our attendance committee and working with child welfare and attendance. So we are seeing a rise in our attendance, but then things like the line fire happen. We did have in the past 3 years, we had some non-student attendance reductions to our ADA because of issues that we talked about with our independent study program, which we've corrected and moved forward. I'm happy to say that to our knowledge so far, our auditors have been keeping us real busy, their fall audit, and we don't have any attendance related audit issues that we're not done yet. But that has, to our knowledge, and usually if they find something, they share that right away because they know that we have to prepare for it. So that's positive. We are going to look at daily attendance. We have, starting from when the light fire started, and then when we went back to school, because we might be able to, if we had attendance under the 90%, apply for a material decrease, but that'll be school by school, day by day. And so in business, we'll be looking at that over the next couple of weeks. And if so, we'll add a material decrease to an anticipated waiver we will have to apply for the attendance days. So we wouldn't do that separately. We would just kind of apply for it all at once at the same board meeting. We have one of the things with our enrollment, calculating ADA, we have revised our LCFF revenue and our projections moving forward. So we don't have that as a full budget document yet because we're still To be honest, I'm hoping to finish tomorrow. So, because we do with we budgeted for staffing, with no decline, but we budgeted for revenue with a slight decline, so we would have the, staff needed because we're in this post, pandemic, no trend really from year to year. But we are anticipating our ADA to be a little higher, so we're making those adjustments. I've already recalculated our LCF going into first interim. And so that's just basically getting it in the system. We are also in the budget, going line by line really and page by page in the, and every, component and every account line in our budget. We are comparing staffing that we budgeted one by one. I mean, I was on, I think, 3 colors, you know, when you're going check marks and then X's and then highlighters, to see where our differences are, what staff have we, added, that we didn't necessarily, have in the adopted budget in June, and making sure those, account numbers are all correct. And to make sure that anyone coded with previously one-time dollars are reflected correctly in either other restricted funds or back in the unrestricted side of the budget, because it does have a sense that, our job is to provide accurate and timely financial information that we make decisions on, and not taking that lightly, that we have, such limited resources to be able to make sound decisions with knowing what resources we have moving forward. So, it does feel like there's a little bit more writing on, we don't want it to have, oops, we have a budget adjustment that went the wrong way. So we're taking our time and in between some other distractions, of course, this last month, to make sure that we capture everything that we need to capture. So, real quick too, we have, our corresponding ADA for our enrollment. You can see, our graph number 2 for month 2, 2,663.44. We are, feeling about I tore my papers apart. Now they're not in the same order as you have them. So I apologize for that. I'm just having to now look through them a little bit. So, wow, I really tore my papers apart. So, I'll have to see if I have this one here. I might have left it up there. So, we were running a little bit lower, about 92% attendance from what I remember seeing, and it's bothering me now that it's not right in front of me. So anyway, this might be it. Whoops, nope. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Thank you, Jen. See, we're at a 92.61% attendance rate overall. We did budget about 93% going into the year and our multi-year projection. So in looking at our attendance rate, that's going to be a big focus this year on improving that and maximizing the attendance and getting our kiddos in school. So our strive for 95, we have LAE 93.83. With a close second of Hoffman of 93.79. So, and everyone did, considering where we're at right now with attendance, we're, I think, doing our best, VOE at 93.20. So we have definitely some improvement, to make, and, it didn't, like 1 step forward, 2 step backs when things like a fire, Snowmageddon, COVID, power outages, you name it. So, we were going to try to be, I don't know, I was shooting for 5 minutes. Don't know if I was 5 minutes or not. So if you have any questions or.
I just want to say, I know I'm excited to see LAE top the bars, but I do want to say that Mountain High School with an 86.84%, that's high for an alternative high school, continuation high school. And I just want to do a shout out because that needs to be recognized and we don't recognize it enough, that is unusual. and that we need to recognize Mountain High School's efforts, the teachers and the staff, that getting the kids to school is always a challenge, and that relationship building at that school helps get the butts in seats. So I just want to shout out Mountain. They may not ever get to the top, but they really, that's high.
Yes, it is. You're very much and Mountain High too, they have a built-in mechanism that they can recoup ADA throughout each day by going the longer day. So that longer day not only gives them the services they need, but a way to recoup that ADA to help that. So that's a positive for sure. Right.
Okay, thank you. We're ending at 9 minutes if you're curious.
Okay.
We'll move on to 10.0, discussion/action items. 10.1, superintendent to amend the board meeting on December 12th, 2024 at 4 o'clock p.m. to December 18th, 2024 at 4 o'clock p.m. The district ensures compliance with the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools regarding the annual organizational meeting of the governing board, fiscal impact. None. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
First from Bill. We have a second?
Somebody want to second it?
Second.
Second from Dana. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Hearing none, I just want to confirm, everyone here has checked their calendars, they can make that happen?
Well, no, I don't have my hard copy, but I will make it happen. I'm a team player.
Thank you so much. I hope to be in attendance. Take a vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 10.2, educational services, approval of the Declaration of Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, ELOP, program closure due to emergency conditions, fiscal impact none. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? In case anyone is curious, this was a result of closure due to the line fire evacuation. Is that correct? Yeah.
Power outage.
Oh, this was the power outage. I'm sorry. The line fire was forthcoming. And no? Okay, all right. Let's call for the vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 11.0 consent calendar. Are there any items that we'd like to pull for consideration during agenda item 12.0? Give you all a moment to take a look.
We don't say that.
Anything? I would actually like to pull 11.14, if you don't mind. So with that exception, do I have a motion to proceed with 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, 11.5, 11.6, 11.7, 11.8, 11.9, 11.10, 11.11, 11.12, 11.13, 11.15, 11.16, 11.17, 11.18, and 11.19.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Yeah, Scott. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 12.0, items removed from the consent calendar. 11.14, special services, approval of South Coast Community Services to provide mental health services to Rim of the World Unified students and families for the 2024-2025 school year. Fiscal impact none. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Cindy, thank you. I pulled this item specifically because I love free mental health services. However, I wanted to ask a question because looking at that contract, I believe South Coast Community Services receives reimbursement for the state for services provided. So that allows it to be a grant-funded program that doesn't cost the district any money. However, I know that other mental health agencies like Mountain Counseling and Training receive reimbursement in the same manner. So I'm curious if bringing in an additional mental health provider might actually harm our local mental health agencies by in turn receiving less revenue, or if the demand is so high that we need to bring in somebody else. I know they came in and offered, so that's the essence of my question.
I'd like to defer to Ms. Burke, Special Services Director, to address that question.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a student that was working directly with a therapist from that agency that moved to our district. And the relationship was really good with their therapist. And so just like we have MOUs with Family Services and Mountain Counseling, it would be a disservice to break up a functioning, working relationship. And so we went ahead and honored the MOU.
That makes sense. Any other questions? That was my question, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tori.
All right, any other discussion? Let's go ahead and call for the vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 13.0 Governance Team, Future Agenda Items Planning. 13.1, time allotted to the Board of Trustees to request agenda items for future meetings. Do we have any requests outside of what is already on our governance calendar?
Jordan, just a point of order, going back to the change that we just made, we need to make sure that those who are running for office are informed of that change in December.
We will provide follow-up in the board orientation.
Thank you. Back to 13.1, I just want to make sure that when we do get our next transportation update, if we could maybe include in that presentation route schedules or just to address Ethan Smith's concern around latency. And Kaylee as well, Serato, both of their concerns. I'm just curious, do we work with Caltrans, for example, on these types of road work, because we do live in the mountains and we recognize there's a lot of road work that happens that closes our roads. Some of it's inevitable. That's similar to how we work with SoCal Edison to try to avoid power outages during our school days. We also work with Caltrans, open-ended questions. So
we can provide follow-up in the report.
Excellent. Thank you. 14.0 future meeting dates. Regular board meeting, November 21st, 2024, 5:30 p.m. here at the district office, 24740 San Maria Way, Westland, California, 92325. 15.0 recess to closed session if necessary. Unfortunately, that will be necessary for us. So the board will recess to